By a show of hands, how many of you have heard the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child? It's like every hand in here. By another show of hands, how many of you have heard of the city of Compton? Everybody in here. I'd like to talk to you today about the importance of mentoring a young person. Go with me, if you will, several years back. I won't name the number of years. Several years back, to a little girl with pigtails growing up in the city of Compton who didn't have a clue about what life was. If you've ever been a child, I won't say if you've ever been a child, if you've ever been a teenager who has no direction, you're looking at that person standing before you. Didn't know what I wanted to do, didn't know where I wanted to go, didn't know anything, but at the same time, I thought I knew everything. I'd like to share with you the importance of mentorship, because for me, if I didn't have older women in my life who took a liking to me as a young person who needed some guidance, I probably could have become a statistic. I think all of you have probably heard more negative than positive about the city of Compton. Am I correct? Okay. So I'd like to dispel some of those myths to you right now, because I also have a fellow Comptonite in the room on today. Shared in one of my earlier speeches that my mother was a single mother for a number of years, raising my brother and myself, and how my brother and I both could have taken a different path than the one that she knew we should have. Raising a young boy in the city of Compton, a young boy of color in the city of Compton, or anywhere, is a challenge. Keeping that young boy on the straight path, on the right path, is a challenge regardless of where that young child is raised. And I won't even say children of color, but that is the subset of people that are usually looked at as problematic, or if someone had taken some time to get to know them or to pour into them, the path could have been different. As I mentioned, I had several women who took me under their wing, and I mentioned in an earlier speech that one was my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Alexander, when I first moved here to California from Albuquerque, New Mexico. She saw that there was something in me, and she started to pour into me, which, as I got older, gave me the inspiration to look out for young people coming up behind me, whether it was a boy or girl. As a matter of fact, for a number of years, I was a Sunday school teacher at church, and one of my students is in this room on today in the conference room. And so the importance of having a mentor, someone that is looking out for you, or someone that is paying attention and seeing the attributes that you have, that you're smart, that you're intelligent, you can be anything that you aspire to be, will boost a child's confidence greater than an A on a paper, or even an F on a paper. Telling a child you can do anything that your heart desires means everything. Some of us sitting in this room today may think that we have nothing to offer a child who doesn't look like us. But I'd like to tell you today that's not true. Sometimes all a child needs is for someone to tell them that they care. All they need is for someone to tell them that they can aspire and do anything that their heart desires, regardless of what their background is, regardless of what their past is. I'm a living witness to that. I'm a testimony of that particular positivity. A lot of times we think that our lives are just in a box. What I do here from 8 to 5 is all that matters. When I get home, I have this, and this to do. On the weekends are mine. But I'd like to challenge you today to think outside the box. Not be self-centered. Because when it boils down to it, you might say, well, I'm not self-centered. I love everybody. But love to me is an action word. When I say it takes a village to raise a child, it means looking beyond who you are and what you're comfortable with. Sometimes it's a matter of stepping outside your comfort zone and taking someone under your wing. It doesn't have to be a child who's running wild or a child who's in a gang. It could be someone who's actually on the right path, but they just need some direction. They need someone to tell them, okay, you might be the first child in your family to go to college, but you can do it. Here are the steps that you need to take. You need to get good grades. You need to show up and be ready to study each day. Come to school with all of your equipment and show that you're interested in school. Pay attention to your teacher. There are things that we can give young people that will inspire them to aspire higher. So yes, it does take a village to raise a child. And if you look around this room, we are the village. So I want you to leave here today knowing that you have something that someone is waiting for you to give. Look out for young people. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Again, love is an action word. Thank you.
Wow.